Today, we're going to talk about pines, one of the most widespread, ecologically important, and recognizable groups of trees on Earth. Whether you're in the mountains, foothills, coastal areas, or just walking through a neighborhood, you'll likely see pines many times. The goal today is to help you learn how to actually read them in the field, not just recognize that they're a pine. When you zoom out globally, pines are one of the most successful tree groups on the planet. There are roughly 110 to 130 pine species worldwide, depending on classification. In the United States, there are about 35 native species. Here in California, we have roughly 18 to 20 native pine species, which gives us the highest pine diversity of any state in the country. That means a large portion of pine diversity in North America can actually be experienced right here. Before getting into individual species, it helps to understand how to read pines in a simple way. When you're looking at one in the field, there are three things to focus on first: needles, cones, and the environment it's growing in. Needles are the most important starting point. Pines are unique because their needles grow in bundles called fascicles. Each bundle will contain 1, 2, 3, or 5 needles, depending on the species. If you take away only one identification tool from today, it should be this: count the needles in the bundle. That one step will narrow down your options faster than almost anything else. This leads to a very useful way of grouping pines: soft pines and hard pines. Soft pines, often called white pines, usually have 5 needles per bundle. Hard pines, often called yellow pines, usually have 2 or 3 needles per bundle. It's not a perfect system, but it gives you a fast way to narrow down what you're looking at when you're standing under a tree. Now, let's bring that into real California examples. We'll start with the yellow pines, since these are some of the most commonly encountered inland species. First is ponderosa pine. This is one of the most widespread and recognizable conifers in western North America. It typically has 3 long needles per bundle and develops thick, plated bark as it matures. Older trees often show orange to cinnamon-colored bark plates that make them easy to recognize from a distance. One of the interesting field clues with ponderosa pine is its smell. On warm days, the bark can produce a sweet scent that people often describe as vanilla, butterscotch, or caramel. Once you notice it, it's hard to forget. Ponderosa pine is also strongly associated with fire-adapted ecosystems. Its thick bark helps protect living tissues from heat, and its structure evolved in landscapes where low-intensity fire was historically common. In those systems, fire was not just a disturbance, it was part of how the forest stayed healthy and balanced. A species that is often confused with ponderosa pine is Jeffrey pine. At a glance, they look very similar. Both have 3 needles per bundle and similar oval form, so it's common to mix them up. The easiest way to tell them apart is by the cones. Ponderosa pine cones have outward-pointing prickles that feel sharp. Jeffrey pine cones have inward-curving prickles that feel smoother. A simple way to remember this is Ponderosa pokes, Jeffrey is gentler. Jeffrey pine is also more commonly found at higher elevations and in colder, harsher environments than ponderosa pine. It can also produce a strong, sweet resin scent that is sometimes described as vanilla or citrus-like. Next is gray pine, which looks quite different from the typical straight, symmetrical pine people often picture. Gray pine is adapted to hot, dry foothill environments. It often has an irregular, open crown and gray-green foliage. One of its most noticeable features is its cones, which are large, heavy, and often produced in abundance. These cones can become a hazard when they fall, especially in developed areas or work zones. Gray pine is also ecologically and culturally important. Its large seeds were historically used as a food source by indigenous peoples throughout California, and the species is well adapted to drought-prone environments. Now we'll shift to white pines. A key example is sugar pine. This is one of the most impressive pine species in North America. It has 5 needles per bundle, which immediately places it in the white pine group. Sugar pine is best known for its cones. It produces the longest cones of any pine species in the world, often well over a foot long and sometimes approaching 20 inches. When you see them hanging from the branches, they are unmistakable. Historically, sugar pine was highly valued for its straight, workable wood, and it's played an important role in the timber history of the Sierra Nevada. It remains one of the most iconic trees in California mountain forests. Moving toward the coast, we find Monterey pine. Monterey pine has one of the most unusual natural distributions of any major tree species. It occurs naturally in only a few small populations along California's central coast and a few locations in Mexico. Despite this very limited native range, it has become one of the most widely planted pine species in the world, used extensively in forestry plantations in places such as New Zealand, Australia, Chile, and South Africa. This contrast, rare in nature but globally widespread in planting, makes Monterey pine one of the most interesting forestry species on Earth. Now, stepping back, pines play an important role in ecosystems. Their seeds are a major food source for birds, squirrels, chipmunks, bears, and many other animals. Entire forest food webs are built around them. One especially important relationship is with the Clark's nutcracker, a bird that actively collects, caches, and distributes pine seeds across mountain landscapes. Many of those cached seeds are never recovered, which allows new trees to grow and help regenerate pine forests over time. Fire also plays a role in many pine ecosystems. While not all pines respond to fire in the same way, many Western species evolved in environments where fire was a natural part of the system. Some developed thick bark, some shed lower branches to reduce fire spread, and some produce cones that open after exposure to heat, releasing seeds when conditions are right for regeneration. Pines are also influenced by forest health conditions. One of the most important factors affecting them is bark beetles. Species such as the western pine beetle and mountain pine beetle typically attack stress or weaken trees, but under drought and high-density conditions, they can contribute to large-scale tree mortality across landscapes. Pines also have a long relationship with people. Indigenous people across California used pine seeds as food, resin as adhesive and medicine, and wood for tools, shelter, and fuel. These trees were deeply connected to daily life long before modern forestry existed. Later, during California's development, pine forest became central to construction and infrastructure. Pine lumber was used to build homes, mines, railroads, and entire communities across the state. Today, pines remain economically and ecologically important. They are used in construction lumber, engineered wood products, paper, utility poles, furniture, reforestation projects, and carbon storage efforts. They are still some of the most widely used and managed tree species in the world. The key takeaway from today is simple. Instead of just seeing a pine as a pine, learn to read it, count the needles, look at the cones, observe the bark, pay attention to the environment it's growing in. Those few observations will often get you very close to a correct identification, and more importantly, they help you understand how that tree is functioning in its environment. The next time you come across a pine, Whether in a forest, a park, or a neighborhood, take a moment to really look at it. Every species is telling a story about climate, soil, fire, wildlife, and history. Learning to read those stories is what turns simple observation into real understanding.